Now moving into our last session of this afternoon, and we're going to talk about commerce, where the actual action happens, let's say. Let's invite to the stage Elisabeth Peregi, President CEO of Kappahl Group, Pim Vijftigschild, Chief Commercial Officer for New Black, and Hilbert Dijkstra, General Manager of ID Cloud Nedap. Round of applause.
Okay, green lights, guys.
Yes.
Yes.
Just a question then
Yes.
first, since a lot of people are from Europe. How is the jet lag doing in the room?
It's real.
It's real. Okay.
They're getting sleepy, so they need drinks soon.
Let's fight against it then.
So we should have energy from the stage here.
Okay,
Yeah.
we will do what we can.
We have some standing, so sorry for that, but you have it's better for you because you don't fall asleep at least. Okay.
Well, the best events are overcrowded. It's always also nice to have our friends from the Netherlands here. You were with us also last year, Pim and Hilbert. We'll get to you guys, but I think we should start with the brand, of course. Elisabeth, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody in the Nordics know a lot about Kappahl and have a strong relationship and history to it. Just describe where you are right now and what's the journey you're on.
So Kappahl was founded already in the 50s, so quite an old sort of brand and a fashion chain. But we have moved then from being a fashion chain that has a little bit of everything for all our stores that we have in the Nordics, meaning Sweden or Finland, but also now Poland. So moving from the fashion chain sort of concept to offering two, at the moment, attractive, I would say, brands, Kappahl and Newbie. And that is a transformation in itself. And I guess many of you have done it already, to really focus on specific target groups and understanding the needs and what drives their sort of relationship towards fashion. And that we have done for a couple of years now to really understand the Newbie customer and the Kappahl customer. So for you who don't know, the Kappahl offering is a wide assortment for the family crew, you can say. And the Newbie brand is more a style in itself, a lifestyle brand that is born out of the baby assortment. But yeah, nowadays we also have dresses for women. I would not guess, but we tried it because our customers demanded it, and it flied. So why not?
We've talked a lot about the industry transformation here today, and just interesting to hear your take on it, what you've heard here today. Does it resonate with the journey you've been on in terms of changing the way you work, using data to be more precise in your assortment?
I think everything that we have been talking about today has been very relevant, and I think it's about combining different sort of both topics, trends, and needs. So not forgetting the reason to exist, but also being very clear on what you are offering to your target group based on their needs. So the commercial clarity, I think, is one important sort of topic, not to lose track on the customers. The other topic, I think, I mean, at Kappahl Group, we are investing heavily in basic tech structure, in basic tech sort of platforms, like a new POS, a new e-com site, CRM systems, traceability tools. We are really eager to trace everything that has to do with the product, from the fiber to the spinning, the dyeing, the sewing factories, to have a full control over the whole supply chain. So that is sort of another topic. And then on top of that, we have the AI revolution. So we are sort of managing all the three areas at the moment. So yes, that is yes,
It's
we have a lot of fun things to do at work. Yeah.
I want to bring in Pim to begin with, because we're going to dive deeper on sort of the commerce side of the value chain, where you really connect with the consumer. We've spent a few years talking about omnichannel now and unified commerce. From your perspective, I know you think this is kind of an outdated conversation. Give us your hot take on that.
So indeed, if we still retailers talk about omnichannel, you have a hard time probably the next years. If you talk about unified, start looking your own organization first and try to bring e-commerce and the retail organization together, because there are still two kingdoms that fight with each other over simple things. And it's great that we're talking about unified, but please fix that. Technology is only 15%, 85% is actually courage to change that. And that courage is from a CIO, courage from leadership. Because if you don't change, your organization will never change. We see that with every single project. It feels not on the fact that the technology is not good enough or the system integrator is great. It feels by making real decisions. This is the route that we're going to take, and stick to the route, because we see that every single time. That's painful. But we came into a new era, and we believe that the era is not unified anymore. It's contextual, because we know every interaction that happens on a device. We know every interaction that happens online. And it's silly that you go to a store and that you bought something online, you brought it back, and that the people in the store have no clue that you brought it back in another store, and that your sentiment is not so really good. And we had that 50 years ago. You had the store associate way again to where they had the black book, where they actually did that. So we believe that it should move to contextual commerce, where you have that sentiment and you just bring that back, and all the tools are there to do it, but it means courage to do it. And we can talk hours about tech, and you are going to see a lot of cool things over here. But I think we should not talk about that and the next layer of commerce. We should talk about the next layer of leaders who actually are not order takers anymore, but actually have the courage to bring this forward.
Well, what does that mean from your perspective? What is it that you are, I mean, I sense that you are lacking this kind of leadership, but I'm sure there are good examples of brands and retailers that have that leadership. What is that leadership? It's a kind of a vision of implementing things. It's breaking those silos as we talked about.
It's breaking the silos first. That means that breaking silos and who owns what. And if you talk about, I think on commerce, it can't be that we still have separation on e-commerce and separation on the retail operation. It can't happen that we are fighting over a P&L discussion, who is doing, who's going to fund what and what's the budget around that. These are the wrong discussions. We know one thing, Frank of accounting, who is 3 years down the road going to retire, is not going to accept any change, because he is waiting the next 3 years working in Excel files and doing that. So you need to have a cultural Sherpa in your leadership who is driving that. You need to be aware of the different archetypes that are there, like Frank of accounting, who don't want to change because he is 3 years down the line, that, or the traditionalist that you have in your organization. Or fun thing, we see retailers that have the best tools out there, but they're still sharing PowerPoints to the organization when there is an update of the application, whilst the update of the application is basically done on a weekly or perhaps a monthly basis. And those PowerPoints are outdated at the moment they're in the store. Or we see, just an example, go to a Nike store, ask if you can go in back of house, and you see the Excel files with the click and collect orders out there. That's the reality. I think.
Yeah, I think this is brilliant. And we have been talking about, I don't know who was that mentioned the best of breed. A couple of years ago, we were talking about best of breed. Retail is best of breed. But it is a problem when you have best of breed beside each other and you don't have integration, or you have integration, but it's and the system are all in different, in different speed. So can you talk about this topic?
Yeah, I think best of breed is killing innovation, because as a retailer, you don't control the roadmap of the POS provider. And if he's doing an update once a year and your e-commerce is doing an update every month, how are you going to bring that together? So we still see RFPs flying out with 1,300 questions about all the things that you should be able to do. And there is no question about controlling roadmap. There is no question about if you have an order management system that needs to talk with POS, how we're going to do that. There is no question about how, if there is e-commerce and how we're going to bring that together and the other way around. You, as a we see two types of retailers. We see order takers, and sorry to add, and I'm going to generalize that. There is a gray area in between, but we see retailers that have a CIO that's actually an order taker, just following what retail operation wants or what finance wants. And we see IT departments and CIOs that actually have the courage to say, okay, but we need to change this. We need to kill the Frankenstack. We need to sit on top. We need to talk with the right partners, with the right sentiment, with the right culture that fit with us, and that have an ecosystem around it, that have the same mindset. Because I can't control Nedap, because I'm a POS provider. We can work together, but as a CIO, I can't control what Nedap is on the roadmap. I can't control what POS players on the roadmap. I can't control what the order management system is on the roadmap. I can't control e-commerce. Well, how many systems do you have? 50, 60, 70? It's difficult. So you need to find a platform player or an ecosystem that works together, that is able to drive that together. Yeah. And same cadence, things like that.
Yeah, we're going to bring in Hilbert, bear with us here. But I just want to hear, Elisabeth, your reaction to this. Do you agree that implementing tech is about leadership, that you kind of have to hold the reins yourself and not be an order taker, as Pim says?
I think that implementing tech is like implementing any strategy that you have. It can be a sustainability strategy. It can be a separate brand strategy. It's a lot about understanding the overall strategy, like what do you want to achieve, and what kind of value do you want to create. So if we want to grow as a company, then everybody at Kappahl Group needs to understand, what does that look like? How are we going to grow? Are we going to grow with profit or just turnover? Are we going to grow sustainably? Are we going to grow with several brands or one brand? Are we going to grow on our own or with partners? So I think it's a lot about in the management team, in the top management team, understanding what kind of IT strategy or sustainability strategy you are sort of saying yes to, and not just on the surface. You need to understand quite a lot to say yes to something, because then you have the consequences that you need to deal with. And when that is done, this is a long answer. I can hear myself talking too much, but when you have done that, you really need to get everyone on board. And if you have a company with the culture there, where you are really, really eager to create value, then most probably the organization are just waiting for the management to take the courageous movements or decisions. So I agree. It is not an easy thing to transform the business or the company or the tech platform. It's really, really tough.
We want to bring in Hilbert here as well and talk about RFID. And maybe you can talk about RFID from the perspective of what this technology enables, because I think many people see RFID as this device that kind of like, scan inventory really quickly, etc. But you have a different take on it.
Well, I think the word infrastructure was already mentioned a few times. I think if you still look at RFID as a tool to count once a week and update your inventory, and that's that, then you're missing the whole point. I think RFID is a revolutionary technology to really go to an item level inventory to fuel modern commerce. And I think, that takes maybe courage to rethink it like that and start there, build new infrastructure, and not implement RFID for counting once a week. Yeah, that's lowballing it.
Yeah, Ellen mentioned it also, that RFID is enabling a lot of new customer experience, but also data injection. So how do you see the evolution of RFID? Because we have only 2 years ago, it was really counting garment in the store.
So for some retailers, yes. I think 10 years ago, the main users of RFID data were allocators, and that was it. And RFID helped to make sure the store was better replenished. I think today, if you look at the users of item level data, that is almost every department in your organization: sustainability, loss prevention, omni-channel, allocators. Yeah, I can keep going, but yeah, I think if you do it well, you make sure that all those actors have access to that data from their business perspective, from their business lens, that they can look at the data, access the data, and work with it.
Yeah, and in the perfect world, you get all of that data from the stores all the way back also to the operation side. So we talked a bit about it in the first panel, I think. So the designers know what's working out there, and everyone knows. So you can act on that.
And not only data from the stores, it's from factory to DC, from DC to store, and also within your store, what's going on, to not only bring the context from online to offline, but also bring the context from your store back to the online world.
Yeah, and I think we have a lot of conversations about that one. So I think of this. So you have RFID in place. You have RFID that goes to the fitting room. You have the items there. It's stupid that it stops there, because then we went there. Why don't you check out in the fitting room? Why do I need to grab my stuff, walk back to the POS, and then do it over there, and then check out? And then why don't we do those things? That's what people want. I want to have a combined experience. It's not self-checkout. It's a combined experience properly. And to add to what we see together, is that means that companies like Nedap and New Black, we need to work really close together. We are sitting almost every week on the same side of the table to talk about those things, how we need to solve it. But let's come back to the roadmap discussion. You need to have companies who are so deeply integrated into each other to understand their business to actually do that. And that's, I think, where it needs to move towards. And I think then you can also do the cool things, what you mentioned about with Newbie, which is almost a community in itself, that you can reach that community, that you understand that community, that you can communicate with that community, because I think that's the next layer of interaction. Communication is not the transaction itself, it's the interaction that led to the transaction. That's where we need to focus on.
Yeah, and you are a bit unique in the tech world, because you have this community with tech vendors around you that you are working really close with, so you can help brands to be quicker, to be more a partner than a tech vendor, to really work.
To be adaptive to change.
Yeah, that's cool.
I think if anyone who studies PIM's schedule here at NRF can see, there's a lot of things happening throughout this week with different vendors. Perhaps we should round up this session and also the entire Retail Innovations talks for this year by looking ahead a little bit. Like, what are you seeing around the corner? Is it all about AI agents and kind of automated decision making? What are some of the exciting things you are seeing, and how, maybe we can also talk about the challenges of tackling those opportunities. Maybe start with
Yeah. Okay. There are plenty of challenges, I think.
Please.
And one challenge that we haven't talked so much about is investment. I mean, everything that we are talking about here, it's like it's not for free. It's quite heavy investments, and it's not only a one-shot investment. I'm looking at you, sorry for that. A one-shot investment. I mean, we then need also to pay the licenses and what do you call it? Subscriptions. So it's, I mean, you are stuck in a 10-year plan of paying huge amounts of money. And those decisions we cannot take on our own. We need to have our owners or the board of directors. So we need to understand how to create value with those investments to even get the investments itself. And so that is one of the challenges I think many CEOs face every quarter, at least, right, when the board meeting is. How can we, in an easy way, explain what this is about, not getting stuck in the details, because it's loads of money, and we don't want the board to feel cheated on, so to say. They need to fully understand what the money goes to.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about making business cases that runs quite long in the future.
I'm so glad you bring this up. It's almost like the elephant in the room you're
I just
mentioning here. I
wanted
think
to-
everyone kind
That's
of
really good.
understands this dynamic, both either if you're a vendor or if you're on the brand side, where you have to kind of really, it's a full body combat actually tackling these issues, because we have great technology that can do great stuff, but it has to work in the business model that you're running, right?
I mean, you need to show either that the turnover is increasing, or customer satisfaction is going like this, or your costs are going down with quite big numbers to afford an ROI on your investments, on the tech investments, especially if you are a bit behind, sort of, if you need to catch up, and then you need to also add on the next layer of AI to be able to do sort of to create the modern shopping experience of 2025 and beyond.
Maybe
2026 and beyond.
Yeah, we're new year now. Maybe that's why we also see the board members have changed a bit. I have been like looking at, before it was only finance guys, and now it's coming in more retail knowledge into the boardrooms as well. Maybe it's easier then to get a better discussion and understanding of the business case and the values of these kind of. Have you thought about that?
I mean, I think it's, I've been thinking about it since I started, since our investment requests are big. I think it's a lot about the management team understanding the value to be created and explaining that to the board, because the board is not in the details. I mean, it depends on which company, of course, but they are not so much in the details. So you really need to find the trust in this sort of explanation, because it is a bit tricky. And you need to understand also what you say no to. I mean, we are not in the RFID yet, because we said no. We have a lot of other things we need to prioritize first. So
We need to talk about that.
Yes, we need to talk about that. Once again, long question, because it is a different topic.
And really important, because as a tech vendor, you can be a bit frustrated, like, why don't you see the value? But you know, it's so long also up to you, because you tend to not be in the discussion with the RFID vendor. So it's so many inside the organization that needs to understand, and also this language tend to need to move a bit, because when you should talk about the language with the board are a bit different. So thank you for sharing, really great.
I'm not frustrated about that. I think that is our job, to make sure that your team is able to explain the value of our technologies to the board. So it's not my frustration. I think it's our challenge.
Yeah.
I think we need to also solve some of the mess that is created by the past vendors. That is asking subscriptions with enormous subscriptions, and then you need to pay that in advance and then see what the outcomes are. Most models are based on licensed models, and you have so many devices and you don't know where the business is moving towards. So those models are not adaptive to the change that you need to go to. And I think as a retailer, you need to look into companies that actually understand that. They understand that, hey, during peak season, we have examples of during peak season that there are 3 times more POSs in store. If you then have a model that you need to pay per device, yeah, that's going to be really expensive, because you paid peak. And what do you do when peak season is not there, and how to act on that one? That's what we need to solve on our end. But we need to solve some legacy there.
Yeah, but not to create a misunderstanding here, I don't think that you are the ones responsible for that. I mean, I think it's a topic that we don't talk so much about, because of course there are so many possibilities, but we need to sort of take one step at a time, and to really understand each target group's behavior, because that target group those customers are going to invest in our investment, so to say, in the long run by the purchasing power. Yeah.
I feel like we have opened up so many questions and we can still do this for another couple of hours. But we're actually going to have to round off this edition of Retail Innovation Talks. So first off, a round of applause to Elisabeth, Pim, and Hilbert. And before we make our way to the drinks and the refreshments, I'd like to thank all of you for being so patient and listening. And I can hear the minds spinning when we provide our content here, and that's what we're all about. We'll certainly be back for more things during 2026. We are planning some stuff for D-Congress in Gothenburg, for those of you who are there, as well as the upcoming editions of Transformation Conference in Copenhagen and Stockholm. That's what's happening at Scandinavian Mind. If you want to know more about what we do, please follow our newsletter. Visit scandinavianmind.com/newsletter. Linda, any closing words here?
No, I'm just so happy about the energy on stage, and it's a bit hot, but maybe it's just us here. But I think refreshment will be perfect now.
Nothing like last year.
No.
Anyways, thank you so much for